Hello again, I am Professor Wolfizzle. Today, I want to take you on a journey to a place that feels like it exists outside of time. I am talking about the library. But I don't want to talk about it just as a building full of books. I want to explore the atmosphere, the hidden energy, and the beautiful silence that lives within its walls. Learning a language is much like entering a great library. At first, you might feel overwhelmed by the vastness, but slowly you find your way through the aisles of knowledge. This morning, the air was crisp and fresh. I felt a strong inclination to visit the old city library. As I walk towards the large, heavy wooden doors, I feel a sense of anticipation. There is something sacred about a place where thousands of voices from the past are preserved on paper. I push the doors open, and immediately I am greeted by that unmistakable scent, a mixture of old paper, leather, and a hint of dust. To some, it might smell old, but to me, it smells like possibility. As we discussed in our last episode about cooking, life is full of distractions. Our phones are full of notifications, and we often feel rushed. But here, inside the library, the world changes. My social battery, which sometimes feels low, starts to recharge the moment I step inside. It is a very straightforward feeling. Silence equals peace. I find a small table in a quiet corner, tucked away behind the sections of history and philosophy. I sit down and just listen. People think libraries are completely silent, but if you listen with attention, they are full of subtle sounds. There is the rhythmic turning of pages, the faint scratching of a pen on a notebook, and the distant muffled sound of footsteps on the marble floor. These sounds create a tapestry of focus. I realize that everyone in this room is on a private quest for understanding. I sit here for a moment of quiet observation, just like I did in my kitchen yesterday. I look at the shelf next to me. The books are standing in regal rows. Some books look pristine, as if they have never been touched, while others are weathered and worn, their corners softened by the hands of many readers. I feel a deep appreciation for the durability of ideas. I pull a thick volume from the shelf. As I open it, I feel a connection to the person who wrote these words. This is the beauty of language. It is a vessel that carries thought across time. I begin to write in my notebook. I want to capture the words that describe this experience. I write down serenity, contemplation, and intellectual. I think about how our English journey is like this library. And sometimes we feel like we are just standing in the entrance, looking in. But today we are deep in the stacks, discovering obscure words and intricate sentence structures. I realize that patience is the key. You cannot read every book in a day, and you cannot learn every word in a month. It is a gradual process of accumulation. As I sit there, I observe a young student at the next table. She is surrounded by a multitude of books. Her expression is one of intense concentration. I admire her diligence. It reminds me that learning requires effort and persistence. In a previous episode, we talked about consistency. This student is showing consistency. She is not looking at her phone. She is immersing herself in her work. There is no substitute for this kind of dedication. I decide to wander through the different sections. I walk past the biographies where lives are summarized in a few hundred pages. Each section has a different vibe. The science section feels precise and objective, while the fiction section feels vibrant and imaginative. I realize that to be truly fluent in a language, we must learn to navigate all these different dimensions of human expression. We must be flexible in our learning. I find myself in the archive section where the light is dim. Here they keep the rare editions. It is a place of preservation. I think about the word legacy. What do we leave behind? For us as language learners, our legacy is the ability to bridge the gap between cultures. This is a noble goal. It requires humility and a constant willingness to be a student. After a few hours, I feel a sense of fulfillment. I pack my things and walk back towards the exit. As I pass the librarian's desk, I notice how she handles the books with such tenderness. She understands their value. I step back outside into the bustling city, and the contrast is startling. The world outside is loud and chaotic, but I carry the silence of the library within me. I walk home, reflecting on the utility of quiet spaces. In our modern life, we are constantly bombarded with information, but we rarely have the time for assimilation. We hear many things, but we comprehend very little. The library taught me today that we need to slow down. We need to let the words resonate in our minds. We need to give ourselves the permission to be slow and thorough. Thank you for listening.